Good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot. Today we're going to have a couple of interesting items on open house. Uh, One will talk of Pak-China collusion, which is expanding. And then, of course, the new kid on the block, Chinese mercenaries. So this will tackle these two subjects. And then, of course, whatever topics you have or whatever questions you have, we'll take it on. There is a new chapter in the Pak-China collusion which is unfolding in front of us. You know that old story that Pakistan is bankrupt. They are in debt to China and they don't know what to do for their next meal type. That story is out. We need to understand that. China has invested in Pakistan and the returns it expects from Pakistan are no more financial. They also know that this China-Pakistan economic corridor is not going to do Pakistan any good. And their money is not going to come back. That I think Pakistan also knows it can't repay. So what is this whole story about? And that is something we have to understand. It is all about Pakistan facilitating China to gain influence in the Indian Ocean and specifically in the North Arabian Sea. And if you don't understand that, then we don't know what's happening in Pakistan. Last week, 3 days back, Pakistan was burning, D-Chowk, all that Jalsa and PTI went. A whole lot of you would have gone and seen all those crazy channels. Oh, abhi Pakistan mar gaya, ye. But when all that was happening, these two gentlemen were sitting and talking. I mean, you have to understand that. Irrespective of what PTI was doing, Zhang Yuxia, the vice chairman of the CMC, number two to only Xi Jinping, was sitting in Islamabad talking to Asim Munir. So what are they talking of? This. They're talking of how China and Pakistan can come together, cooperate to defeat terrorism along the Belt and Road projects. Why? The Belt and Road projects have been hit. We know it. There's nothing very new about it. All their, what shall I say? Chinese have been killed and all that. I mean, we know that whole story. There's nothing very new about that. But what is interesting is now they're going to do a 3-week exercise together, how to counter it. Now, what is this 3-week exercise? You mean to say that Pakistan cannot defeat terrorism? Of course they can, if they want to. But they can't. Why can't they do it? They can't do it for the simple reason they don't have the money to do it. As simple as that. So what does China now proposing? China is proposing, we'll do the security, you just help us. Very simple. So you're going to see Pak mercenaries coming in. That's what this tweet says. And he's right. I mean, Commander Sandeep, the one who came yesterday on our channel, is completely right. Leave the emotions out. There are 3 private security companies he's named in this. DV Security, China Overseas Security, and Huangxin Zhongshan Security. That's not all, there are more. We'll talk of it. Right? But We will now see where this collusion is going, because understanding this collusion is important, because we have to deal with this story for a long time to come. China might have taken a step back on the LAC, but they've taken 4 steps ahead on Pakistan. And that's my way of looking at it. They have historical ties. You have to understand that Pakistan did China a great favor by being one of the first countries to recognize it in 1949. China wouldn't have been the country it is today, but for the fact that Pakistan midwifed the meeting between Nixon and Mao in 1972. It enabled Kissinger to come to Pakistan. And one night he said, "I have a stomach ache. I'm not well." But that night he went to China, met everyone, came back, and next day he went back. So they have very deep connections. Even just after the 71 war, when Pakistan was down in dumps, China gave them a loan, which Zhou Enlai said, "Don't return." It was a loan. You may return. If you don't return, also it doesn't matter. Okay. So there's a historic connect between them. And over the years, the major sales which have happened, whether you call it nuclear technology or missile technology proliferation, Pakistan could not have had a nuclear program without China's help. They've been given J-17 fighter jets, A-100 multiple rockets, VT-1 tanks, air defense equipment. All this is old. There's nothing new. Now they are looking at Chinese FC-31, which is equal to the F-35s, stealth jets. And they'll be given. It's a matter of another 3-4 years, they'll get it. You have to understand, Pakistan is slowly more dependent on China. And Pakistan-China collusivity is multidimensional. It's not a unidimensional collusivity. It is beyond money. The day we understand that, we'll have to start behaving differently. Okay? Now, what is coming ahead in future? What is the expansion which is taking place? Stealth submarines. The first one has been launched. Right? Hangar class, 8 of them. So over the next 5-6 years, you will have Pakistan being equipped with 8 submarines. And 8 more will come from China and to sit at Gwadar. And a 16 submarine force sitting in Gwadar is not fun for India. And then there's this stealth jet also they're going to get. You might not get more Rafales. You don't have MRCA, whatever we are trying to do, they'll get it. Okay. Over the years, this is from 50 to 21. You see that green line on top, this one, this is the arms sale to Pakistan by China. And this brown one is USA. Till about 5-6 years back, USA was their top supplier. No more. Now it's flattened out. They're not getting anything from the West. You know, this rising one, others, this is interesting. Turkey. So now Pakistan is slowly switched for their arms sales. Okay. This is more interesting. At this point of time, you see the Navy, the dependency on China has how far it has gone. Okay, so far. And by 2030, more than 50% of equipment of the Pakistan armed forces will be from China. Okay, and all these will be modern stuff, lethal stuff. The other 47, it's about they're looking at about 47%. Others are all legacy items. So we're going to be faced with a modern army in Pakistan, armed forces, who can fight. If I respect my enemy, I should know that Pakistani armed forces are much tougher than the Chinese. The Chinese can't fight. We know that. Pakistanis can. And you're giving these to them, so you can understand what's happening. In November last year, rather, yeah, in November last year, they held one set of drills. And now they're going to have Arabian Sea joint military drills again. Maritime cooperation is increasing. This is the second which they're having in a short period of time. And Pakistan has also done some exercises, I think, with Turkey and Iran also. So Pakistan is also facilitating that classic China, Russia, Iran, Turkey, that combination. And why? They want to counter the Indo-US, Indo-Pacific strategy. So we should be very clear what's happening in Pakistan. And there are two Pakistans existing, I've always maintained. There's one Pakistan which is poor, of the masses, who don't know what's happening, which is being left to run by an illegal government, or it doesn't matter, backed by the army, a hybrid model, all that nonsense. That can keep sarta rahe, it doesn't matter. There's another Pakistan with the Pakistan army. I've always maintained that there are two Pakistans. And this Pakistan is militarily strong, it is rich with its military businesses. It has never won a war, but every time it gets defeated, it comes back politically stronger. And why? Because it keeps its people absolutely in a poor shape. The people have nowhere else to go but to come back to the army. So whatever they get, and they have ensured that the most useless politicians are kept to govern them. So before we decide and think Pakistan is a spent force and all that, remember this. Remember what's happening here. This is a very interesting graph. Have a look at it a little more in detail. This is the amount of China's military diplomacy with Pakistan and Russia. The green one on top is the Pakistan one. Focus on that. And this is from 2003. Okay. If you see the number of military exercises, port calls, and things like that are slowly increasing with Pakistan. This is till 2011. Now you will see again they are increasing. While there is a lot of cooperation between Russia and China in terms of joint exercises and port calls and all that, and it is so because then in Vladivostok they're next to each other. They keep carrying out drills in the area of Mongolia, Manchuria, and Trans-Manchurian area. But here, they have to come all the way here and they carry out. And their drills, or rather exercises, are not just Army, Navy, just Army. It's Army, Navy, and Air Force. And the trend line today is more Navy and Air Force, multi-domain. We all know that their intelligence and information operations are joint. A lot of trolling, even on a platform like Gunner Shot, comes from China and Pakistan. We know that. And yet we fool ourselves to think that Pakistan will collapse tomorrow. I've always said Pakistan won't collapse. But there are a lot of channels who say पाकिस्तान कल टूट जाएगा जी, 4 हिस्सों में टूट जाएगा, कुछ नहीं होगा. This is a project they've started. A new road between China and Pakistan through Shaksgam Valley. They started 5-6 years back. These days, they're paying more attention to it. So that they want to make CPC a success one way or the other. The cost is not the issue. It is the strategic value which is the issue. And this is the route. Have a look at it. I've done a video on this earlier. In fact, I'll blow it up fully. Yeah, this is the one. This one, Karakoram Highway, Tashkor Khan to Gilgit, right? It comes here. And this one is through Shaksgam Valley. Okay, it comes from a place, Shaksgam Valley, rather it comes from, crosses the Agil Pass, and then goes down into the Shaksgam Valley, comes up, crosses the Mustaq Pass, which is here. Yeah, which is shown here as Mustaq Pass, right? And then comes to a place called Shigar and Skardu, and they want to have a new road which doesn't go into Gilgit and all that. Comes through the Devsai Plains, Gorikot down. Maybe one of these days I'll do. Today, in fact, I was doing a lot of research on that. I'll do a video on this if you're interested. If you're interested, let me know and we'll do it. They're very seriously now looking at it. Look at this map. As it is, you have here, China has got a base at Djibouti. This is Gwadar. Now, Pakistan and China will come up with a base there. The rumor is this will be the first Chinese overseas command. That is what they're positioning. And in this command will be a joint command with Pakistan. So you're looking at a set of activities which are beyond what we so far thought of. Okay, we have to respond accordingly. Okay. So what's the net of this whole story? Increased presence of Chinese mercenaries in Pakistan. I'll talk of this a little later. It's there. It's going to come. They're already there, in fact. Gwadar as a major Chinese naval base and maritime orientation of Pakistan itself. 2 routes from Xinjiang of CPAC. Pak armed forces fully equipped with modern systems from China. Their talk is they will be given hypersonic technology, anti-ship ballistic missiles like DF-21 and things like that. And maybe modern nuclear technology also. That's a given almost. So whatever China has, Pakistan will have. It will equalize whatever we have made. That's the thing. And they'll have Bedu. as a dedicated military grade Bedu with full protection for navigation and positioning. So the targeting, satellite communication, satellite guidance, all this is feasible. Which means that we have to look at, while we are very happy with what's happening in LAC, the threat is coming somewhere else and in a big way. And we are not very, uh, alive to this in this manner. I do hope this opens your eyes and you start looking at this whole story in a slightly different manner. The China-Pakistan collusive effort is going to be very detrimental to India. We should have no doubts about it. This is interesting. Like the neighborhood Spider-Man, you're going to have neighborhood Chinese mercenaries. It's a given that Chinese mercenaries or private military contractors or private security companies are going to be stationed in Pakistan. So I thought, let me explain to all of you what these fellows do. What is the footprint they have? You think this is a new idea? Sorry, this is an old idea of the Chinese. So I'll go through certain things. Very interesting. It has value for us because we need to understand how this is developed and what is there in it for us. Same thing. Same, this tweet which has come out, which says that three Chinese private military contractors or private security contractors are going to be deployed in China. Now, they're going to be deployed in Pakistan. For whom? Security of the Belt and Road, or the CPEC, and Gwadar and Chinese. That's the Uparwala Kahani. But as time rolls out, my guess is they will be used for sorting out Balochistan. You'll see this. How this will happen, we'll watch. But this is the crux. When I started, when I heard this and I started looking into it, here's this report which says, the Chinese security industry is a stealth industry. It has expanded manifold. Probably more than any other country, China has the biggest network of private security contractors or private military companies or mercenaries. Why? USA had all the bases all over the world. They go and deploy their military. And wherever they have their interest, their military is there. China doesn't do that. China uses private companies like Wagner. Initially, they used to use Wagner and things like that. And what's that? Eric Princess. Okay, Blackwater. And now they have their own. So let's see what they have. And then our eyes will open. This is it. We have said China is reluctant to employ these people because then, they have this great principle of non-interference in other countries. And so that no one can accuse them of being colonialism and, of colonial in nature or all that, hegemonistic, and, they're going for. No. So they've used private security companies and private military companies and mercenaries. Basically, these chaps are all mercenaries. They are all PLA veterans or the police chaps. Now, so far, 84% of Chinese investments, which is known, very well known, or their BRI, are in countries with medium and high risk, where terrorism, political instability, piracy is rampant. How do they protect their own resources? How do they protect their projects? How do they protect their citizens? And how do they protect their diplomats without deploying their army? So they've used these chaps. So after 2 years, when they finish the armed forces tenure, they all join these, most of them. And today, probably we don't even know. People don't even know how many people are employed and how many companies are there. And some Chinese companies which are in Africa, where they have been kidnapped once or twice and being targeted by local gangs and criminal gangs. Even for their protection, these chaps are going and being deployed. They say they work in the Chinese facilities, in ports and railways and all that, dams and all that, for China, and say that they don't interfere in the politics. But we all know once you put a force there and that country is indebted to China, well, the politics also will change. And where countries, they would have learnt it from Sri Lanka, where there is a political risk in that country, they are now doubling up deployment there so that those regimes can be protected. The same thing is happening now in Pakistan. So if Pakistan doesn't have the capability of deploying people to sort out attacks on BRI and China and all that, Chinese individuals and all that. So China is now deploying. It's a matter of time. These are the numbers. There are nearly 5,000 security firms registered in China. And they employ 4.3 million ex-PLA and People's Armed Police guys. And this is just a number, we don't know. And as per one record, it says 20 are licensed to operate overseas, but I think there are more. And that number is growing. The exact number of Chinese mercenaries is not known. Incidentally, as per Chinese law, all these fellows can't take weapons abroad, or they cannot use weapons domestically also. Both abroad and within China, they can't carry. Why? The Chinese are worried that this will become an army which tomorrow might stage a coup. Because as I'll tell you, at the end of the day, all these companies are owned by PLA or the Communist Party. Now, these fellows also use local military forces and local companies, and they train local people by giving them equipment. Their equipment is sold there. They're given compensation, training, technology, intelligence gathering mechanisms, and equipment and all that, so that the locals are also incorporated. But all those fellows operate under the Chinese. They also do recruitment from somewhere else. Suppose you are doing an operation in Congo, right? They might get people from South Africa, mercenaries, to do the job. They might not do it themselves. They'll get it done by someone else. So many of these companies are not only using Chinese veterans, they're using locals, they're using criminals, they're using everything. You know how China is? There are no rules on this. The Chinese law is completely in gray zone, and the international law is also in gray zone. So there's a deniability of their actions because now it's a private firm. So China doesn't have law, for legal purposes. China says, look, he's a private chap, he's got a private bid and he's doing it with that government. That government should take care of it. But that government very well knows that they can't do anything with that private company because that's a Chinese company. So it's a complete gray zone operation going out in broad daylight. If you think gray zone operations are carried out in maritime environment, you're mistaken. Look at this. They also recruit veterans from Western armies, right? And they use the structures which the Westerners made for this. After all this came out from Britain, France, who are the leading, security, what shall I say, countries with this kind of a mercenary thing. Russia, USA, UK, France, and South Africa. South Africa is also in this market. Big time. Okay. For example, this China Overseas Security Services is based in UK and it promotes itself as a Sino-British initiative, basically for Chinese customers. And they have very questionable operations in whichever country they operate, whether it is in Somalia or Sudan or DPR or DRC. And they suit themselves to the country in which they are, depending on which country has what kind of laws, they are adapted to that. Where in Kenya, the whole system is more permissive. So, there these private military companies employ locals, they work with local security forces. Not only their private security, absolute security forces. And those chaps are given money to hire them. And the local security forces are also trained. They'll train this side and they'll train the warlords also. That's happening in Myanmar. It's happening in Myanmar also. Right? In South Africa, where the laws are strict, they'll go through the local subsidiaries, their channel partners. So today, China, more than Wagner and Blackton and all that, they have emerged as one of the leading mercenary players. Okay. I mean, this is something which we don't understand, but that's the truth. Look at this Frontier Services Group. It was founded by Eric Prince. Who's Eric Prince? He's the chap who founded Blackwater for USA. When did he put it in place? Gulf War 1. Between Gulf War 1 and 2. It is China's largest public conglomerate today. And these are all questionable contracts. And these questionable contracts are undertaken either with Chinese state-owned companies or foreign security companies. I've just given you one example. I'll give you more. Now, these three companies, BV Security, Huaxin Zhonggan, and Shanghai Zhongwei, these three are authorized to carry weapons. Out of these three, the first two, DV and Huaxin Zhonggan, are going to be deployed in Pakistan. Armed. And these chaps have been authorized because they started with the Somalian pirate thing, how to solve the piracy operations, because the PLA Navy couldn't handle it. And they have been given license. What are the services they give? Sea and land escort, direct protection of Chinese enterprises, high-ranking officials. All these chaps are protected. Even embassies, fight against piracy. And these are the conduits to deal with Houthis or Hezbollah or whatever. So Chinese arms also go through these people. There were reports that Hezbollah has got something from China. So this is a channel which is well established today in Africa. They are also pretty well established in the Gulf. Now it's coming next to us. On one side in Myanmar, they are established. What happens if they get established in Bangladesh and all these people? Okay, and these three companies are highly sought after. Wherever there's the risk is high, like in anti-piracy or Gulf of Aden, these places. Plus, wherever warlordism is there, these chaps are used. Money speaks. And this Huazhen Zhonggan is the first company which got this license. And that's coming to Pakistan. Very interesting. I read a French article, right? In this French article, this is what it says. It analyzes the China hand. It says when the state moves forward, the private sector retreats. Very interesting statement. Initially, it might have been private sector, but now the state has moved forward. All Chinese businesses, we should understand, obey party directives. If they don't, they're sacked. All security companies must be the exclusive property of the state or have 51% of the state capital which belongs to the state. So all these are Chinese companies of the Chinese government. Heads would invariably be the communist guys or ex-PLA people. Okay, and China uses these chaps to advance its strategic interests, and it started with the anti-piracy, things in Somalia way back in 2005-06. They have been involved in conflicts and human rights violations. They lack regulation, oversight, or accountability. Like I told you, the international laws are dealer. There are a lot of loopholes which and Chinese are very good at it, to exploit it. And their own laws are not applicable there. And they let the companies operate in this gray zone. It's a legal gray zone. Now, as coups become more, you'll see more PMCs or these mercenaries being deployed. And who knows, these mercenaries, being the dogs of war they are, will probably be involved in coups. If China wants to have a coup tomorrow, it will be done. So tomorrow, if you see that, look, Imran Khan is knocked off or something like that, you might don't discount the Chinese hand. I'll just go through a few of these companies. This is Huayun Yuan Security. They give professional services. Have a look. I'll expand it. Have a look. Look at the services they give. Global security network, local partnerships, professional training. Sab kuch hai. China Overseas Security Group. This is coming to Pakistan. Okay, this is their website. Okay. So they operate in these countries: Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Mozambique, Somalia, Zambia. And this is from their website. I have picked it up in italics. I'll read it out. At present, we have established branches in Pakistan. They are already there. Turkey, Malaysia, Cambodia, Mozambique, South Africa, and Thailand, and various businesses have been fully launched. In addition, we have conducted field visits to Argentina, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Iraq, Argentina, Sri Lanka, Laos, Indonesia, and other countries and regions to prepare for establishment of branches. So it's an expanding program. We plan to set up branches in 50 countries and regions around the world by 2025 and establish regional headquarters and gradually expand our business. See this. See the length and breadth of this whole story. So, when China says global security initiative, these steps are part of the global security initiative. So, a security architecture which is coming up, which is formal with the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and the PLARF and all that. And there's an unofficial security which is coming up. Understand the lethality. So, if you think that we have done a great thing by pushing China back and doing some patrolling, and all that, it's a good thing we have done. There's no doubt, but we have to think differently because the game is changing. If you don't understand this change of game, we are fools. That is why I put this out. Understand what will happen to Pakistan when all that China, help comes to them, and their military gets upgraded, and all these chaps come in, and they'll bribe these generals. वो तो पैसा खा जाएंगे. And then what happens? What do we deal? How do we deal with it? This is the another DB. This is their thing, and this is the things which they do. Service profile, all activities. You're gonna have a look at it. Yeah, have a look at this. What all they do, all their service products. This is Frontier Services Group acquiring overseas security company. FSG enhances security capabilities significantly. ये सब China माल है. How many countries they operate in? Have a look. Understand this. Right? So they are completely. Now you can look at, they already shared this. Some of these chaps are in Laos, Cambodia. They're in Pakistan already. They could come into Sri Lanka tomorrow if you're not careful, or Maldives. What happens if these chaps come into Maldives? We have to open our eyes and head. These are his activities, these chaps' activities. Have a look at it in peace. All kinds of countries and all kinds of activities this chap is doing. And this is not the only one. Okay. See, one more company, what he does, all this is there. Okay. These guys, Zhongun Junghong service. Look at them: Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, Madagascar, Comoro Island. सब पूरा list है. Another HXZA security service. They also into. I'm just giving you a few big ones. These are. So what are we looking at? You're looking at, a thing which is expanding and coming to our neighborhood. And we need to be aware of this. They're coming bang into Pakistan. So what will be the dynamics in Pakistan which will change? How do we respond to this gray zone operation next to us? These are the questions which we have to ask. Originally, I thought I'll also talk to you about the PLA purges. But as I went into the details of the PLA purges, I found that I can't do it in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So tomorrow evening, join me. I'll talk of the PLA purges because one of their Central Military Commission chaps, Admiral Hua, has been sacked. Why is he being sacked? So easy to say so many chaps have been sacked, so he's also been sacked. Xi Jinping. But I went into a lot of details. Very interesting things have come out, so I'll share it with you tomorrow. Till then, if you like this video, I would request you to, press the like button, and if you're okay with it, subscribe to this channel because you're going to get value for money. And please be members in this channel. And I've had people already joining me as members. I'm thankful to all of you who joined me as members. A lot of people suddenly joined me. I'm very thankful to you, grateful, and I do hope more join in. Right. In the meantime, thank you, Purna Varma, for joining in as a member, and request again for everyone. So I'll now take on all your questions, and yeah, I'll patiently take on all your questions, and no problem. Yeah, thanks a lot, Ingeborg Malik. How's Germany? I know you're going through difficult time there, uncertain time. Pranam General, is there any scope of improvement in DRDO or a gone case? DRDO is credited for missiles, but mother of our missile program is ISRO. India's first scramjet engine was tested by ISRO, not DRDO. Look, to put things in perspective, DRDO's capability in missiles is very good. I know that, I was part of it. I'll watch for it. But their capability in others is not good. The scramjet engine had to be tested by ISRO the way things are happening. And the technology, there was almost a joint development of technology on this. Because ISRO had the facilities set up and DRDO also has them. And that hypersonic missile needs a scramjet. Otherwise, you can't fire a hypersonic missile. So to that extent, DRDO has done a damn good job on missiles, not otherwise. In other places, it has not delivered, and it has been subpar. The government instituted a committee to go into all the details. Earlier in the year, they went in and gave the recommendations. So far, the government has done nothing about it. That's the pity. By now, they should have acted. There should have been a, rolling out of action of based on the committee's recommendations. Nothing has happened. If nothing happens, you're stuck. That's the problem. So the fault actually lies with the government. Sir, shouldn't we aim to leverage our Nepali Indian Army connections as a counterbalance to Chinese? Yes, we need to. But Agniveer program to आपने बंद कर दिया. That is why Oli has gone to China. This is a basic common sense with us, which we have left alone. So we have not handled China well. We'll pay for it. And let's be very clear about it. We're going to pay for it. Have aspects of counter-intrusion as an instrument of state policy with regard to our northern opponent been considered, probably leading to better management? Your views? I don't think we have some idea, but look, like I said, you can't keep focusing only on the LAC. When things are happening around, different things are happening around. That's why I brought this thing of the mercenaries and how Pakistan is being revived. The indirect threat to through Pakistan is assuming greater proportions. It will keep you destabilized. While whatever is happening in the LAC is happening. So the threat has actually gone up. Are we responding to it in that manner? I don't think so. After that, China has unearthed biggest treasures of gold. Does he need Pakistan anymore for making money? Jawaharlal, I told you, Pakistan is not for money. Pakistan is for Gwadar. It is to have the first overseas base. The first overseas command of China will be in Pakistan. I told you. So money is not anything. I bet suddenly that 3-week deployment turns into a permanent deployment. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That's what the whole story is. CPEC won't survive till China puts their boots on Pak soil. CPEC is irrelevant. Understand that. Please understand CPEC is irrelevant. What is relevant is the strategic footprint. Regardless of the regime, why does MOD continue to litigate pensions of casualties, disability pensions? Even SC has asked them to stop coming for the same issues, yet they do. This is shameful. I agree with you. This is completely Babu mentality. That's all. The day these caps understand that, things will change. Yeah. Why is China trying to put more thought into securing Belt and Road when it's not even economically viable in the first place? Or is China's real motive just to? Yeah, I told you this, Manaswan. I think you have. Some of you put questions beforehand, pre-thought, but without listening to what I've said. That is why that's the problem. Yeah. Am I correct in assuming rebels in Syria are backed by US? Because Bashar is close to Russia and therefore obviously US will back the other side. But if so, why peaceful Middle East good for them? See what has happened. Maybe one of these days I'll do an analysis. It's very interesting. The rebels have whoever is backing them will come out. I'll not at this point of time US is backing or who is backing. But the rebels see an opportunity. What is that opportunity? The opportunity is as it is Syria was being kept up by Russia and Iran and Hezbollah. Hezbollah has been broken. Iran is weak. Russia is somewhere. Syria is now weak. As a result, the rebels see things happening. If the rebels now, as of today evening, they've taken over Aleppo and moving further, there are 2, 3 rebels backed by different people who are acting. And there seems to be coordinated action. It'll come out. We'll just wait. Maybe down the week, I'll do a thing on this. Why is this happening? Because they feel Iran is weak. If this happens, Iran can't give, Hatyar to Hezbollah support and all that. And if Syria falls, another regime comes in, Iran is in trouble. So the whole thing will shift. It's good for us. Maybe I'll do my analysis a little later when I see what happens in a couple of days. Yeah. Sir, you're developing ramjet artillery for us and many thanks for that. What do you think will be the next stage of evolution of the humble artillery shell? We need to start brainstorming now. Yeah, we are very clear about it. You need better guidance. You need a lot of things. We are looking into it. Don't worry. Right now, the next stage of evolution is ramjet. So let's get to that and then think of the next one. Why the Ottoman idea is being injected? Why not the Zindavasta adoption? How they planted? I've not got your question at all. Aisha Siddiqui said in yesterday's podcast in Naya Daur that China-Pakistan relations cover 3 issues: military security, economy, and CPEC, out of which only military security is presently working. Your views? Look, I think she's out of focus. She's a very good analyst, but anyone who's saying about CPEC, economy, and all that, they're looking in a different context altogether. Right? They are not. I'm very clear about it. China is playing a bigger game. And she's a Pakistani. After all, she'll speak a different language. We have to look at it from our point of view. It's your choice whether to take her word or mine. Yeah, as per Firepower Index published yesterday, Pak is now 9th largest military in the world and is ahead of many aspects from Indian military in terms of range of equipment. Do you agree? I've not seen it. I'll have a look at it. I've heard about it, but I've not seen it. But these don't matter. The indices and all don't matter in war. What is the container getting shipped from Karachi to Chattogram? And I don't know what they're doing. That is their thing. Okay, right, let me take questions. Donald Lu said of Pak that China is the past, US is the future. Was Pak future with US just a brief spell back to China's lap? How can Pak play both off when it's so dependent? Pakistan has made its choice, not now in 1949. Please understand this. Pakistan's first friend today is China. They've milked USA from whatever it is, and USA will have to go back to Pakistan for many issues. It'll go back for its own security. And Pakistan has expert at milking USA. It'll do that. But China, the relationship is deeper. We have to understand that. Yeah. Next question. So, what do you think is the Chinese language proficiency of Indian military and foreign policy establishment? Because Chinese language is much tougher to learn compared to any Indian language. We have schools teaching them, so I don't think so. So, whatever is difficult to learn, if they can learn, why can't we learn? It's only a language. Holistic view on present series, very interesting. Thank you. Okay, sir, can you compare our hypersonic missile with that of China and Russia? Our scientists remark that it hasn't been done by anyone else in the world. Is our tech superior to others? See, at this point of time, I would not like to compare because we don't have full details about the hypersonic missile of ours. So, in such a case, it's unfair to do this comparison and not correct. So, let the details come, we'll do it. But in any case, it's the hypersonic missile, each one might have had a different technology and a different approach. So, to compare, I will not. I normally don't compare weapons because you developed a weapon system based on your requirement. I've developed a weapon system based on my requirement. So, I'll use it the way I want. He will use it the way he wants. That's more important. Okay. Pakistan will be a mercenary for all anti-India elements. What can be our counter? I agree with you. There are counters. There are counters. There are counters on the other side. There are counters in Balochistan. There are counters in. That's why we have opened up with Taliban. Or we have to get an outreach into Taliban. Use Iran. Use USA. A lot of things which can be done. So we need to look. The whole idea of giving you all this is that the the scene is getting tougher for us. As we go up the value chain and you want to become the third largest economy, it's fine. To be the third largest economy, you need to have dum and you have to build that up. Yeah, there is a Chinese occupation of Pak in progress. There is no visible game plan of our Western opponent who appears to be willing subordinate. No, that I don't agree with you. I don't agree that Pakistan doesn't have a game plan. Please remember, don't count out Pakistan anywhere. They have a very clear game plan. They know what they're doing. The Chinese know what they're doing. This is a collusive game. They're against India. China wants to establish itself in the North Arabian Sea. This is the classic theory of indirect approach. We should open our eyes, which we have not done so far. Are we going to have armies for hire like Tainati Forge of Brits in the past? Well, all your Agniveers are ready-made fodder. Like just what's happening in China, the PLA veterans after 2-3 years they join these companies. So similarly, someone will get this bright idea and will start. Otherwise, what do you do with all these Agniveers after next year? Yeah. This might sound like a weird question, but which troops are the easiest and most difficult to command? Like assume Gurkhas being obedient must be easier than Sikhs who are. No, I don't agree with you at all. All troops are as difficult. All troops are as good to command. Both, no, there's no troop which is better than the other. They're all the same. The leaders matter, and every set of troops have their strengths. Every set of troops have their weaknesses. You have to handle them, and every set of troops have their difficulties. Every set of troops have their sensitivities. So you have to handle them separately. That's about all. We may have an army of unknown gunmen who may thrive on extortion money, which is scary. Yeah, I agree with you. You can't help it. These are normal things. These are the things which will happen, right? After all, anyway, we have hundreds of thousands of military veterans, retired CAPF and state police personnel. We too may consider as a matter of state policy to create security agencies. Your views, we will have to. We have to. We have to meet fire with fire. And you have to learn how to play in the gray zone. Yeah, we are interested to know about the new road. It's not a new road, it's just a plan, but it's interesting to know what way, how they are thinking. I'll explain it to you one of these days. Hi, good evening, Maulana ji. What is the problem with Islamists? They use your systems against you, then grow in number in established area. Yeah. This is the old story. That's their religion. That's the not all people who follow Islam are Islamists. They're radical elements who will do all this. They've been always doing it. There's a thing which you have to handle. There's nothing else. Are all these gray zone groups are paid in dollars by cash, or they use Pakistan and other rogue country banking channels? There's a completely gray market and a black market. Both. They'll use dollars. It depends. Like the Chinese companies must be taking dollars, and internally they must be dealing in yuan. So Pakistan will see how they deal with it. All these will come out. Srinivas, this is new, right? These all will come out slowly. Do you see an India-Afghan strategic partnership developed to contract Pakistan-China relationship? Can we enter into such a partnership with Taliban 2.0? See, we have already started doing something. Whether it's against China, it's a doubtful case, but against Pakistan, yes. But whatever you do against Pakistan will go against China, so it's okay. We already opened out our hand to Afghanistan. I spoke about it 2 weeks back, right? We did say that, that there's a video also in Gunner shot on Afghanistan. Just type Afghanistan, you'll get it. I did it just about 10 days back. Yeah, I don't want to be too emotional, but do you actually see a future for Hindu community in Bangladesh? I feel they are doomed, and I'm ashamed that this nuclear number 3 economy is doing. We'll have problems. They don't have a future is well known, right? As Bangladesh is getting more radical. But 13 million is a big number. You can't just wish them away. So we have to do certain things, but let's see how it goes. There are a lot of issues which we can put our foot on. I think the government has to start acting better. It's not only on its own, through international channels also. So what's your opinion on the internet cable attacks? Could China be involved fully, completely complicit? There's no doubt about it. I don't have doubts. This is part of the gray zone strategy. What will be CA's role in Pakistan moving forward, considering the newly security personnel deployment of China-Pak being a long-term puppet of USA? How will USA respond? We'll have to see how they respond. Let's see how they respond. And USA knows Pakistan well. They've deployed their own security personnel there. So USA will have a game plan. So international cooperation with USA on this is fully on the cards. Why can't world can buy any service for a price, but how do they buy loyalties? You make it sound like pack of lawyers fighting for both sides. Yeah. Loyalty is only for yourself. Okay. Loyalty is only for ourselves, not for others. Loyalty is only for our nation and our national interests. This looks like the Chinese penetration to for with default. No, this is forget money. China has invested that money to buy strategic space. You have to understand this fundamental thing. Forget about defaulting, ये वो all that nonsense. वो तो होता रहेगा. China will ensure that Pakistan army will stay at the top. They'll fund the Pakistan army well and make it strong. As much they will deploy private security, all these mercenaries, they will treat Pakistan army as their personal mercenaries. Remember that. Who in God names keep stirring the pot in Manipur, China, deep state, because how now it's clear someone wants to just keep it in a state of unrest. Biren Singh may be bad, but not this bad. Oh, I think, I'll not talk of Manipur. I think we messed up Manipur. Now you can say anything, someone is coming and doing and all. For the past 2 years, you messed it up. At least now do a change. Same chap with the same. Look, they say you're reinforcing failure. The government of India is reinforcing failure. The first person who's at fault in Manipur is Biren Singh. The second person who's at fault is the government of India. I have no doubt. The rest will come later. The rest will take over the problems or rather the spaces created by these people. So, international security agencies appear to be a good business model. Probably we may consider this along with cyber security. With our entry, they would be reasonable. Look, no one wants us. You have to make space. You have to make space and you have to use some pretext to grow. Unless you go send your people where our interests are involved and things like that, nothing will happen. Okay, there is a lot of things involved in this. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. We have to start thinking. I told you we have to start learning how to play the gray zone. Did you take part in Op Parakram? What did you learn from it? Oh, I learned a lot. I commanded my unit when I was in Op Parakram. There were 2-3 phases of Op Parakram, right? It's not only just Kargil, Op Vijay, then counterinsurgency, mobilization, all that. A lot to learn. So, what is the role of foreign religious missionaries in the instability in Northeast? Are the religious conversion groups complicit in causing the disturbance? If so, how can we crack down on them? They are the least of the problem. Let me tell you, they are the least of the problem. If you give them space, they'll take over. If you have given them space, they'll make mischief. The West has invested a lot in Pakistan. 23 times IMF has given loans. How can they let it fall? They don't have to let it fall. If they don't let it fall, China will take it. Will take the cake. Would the mercenaries also adopt ethics? Which mercenary adopts ethics, Arunachal? There are no legal lawyers and all for mercenaries. In which court will you take them? There's no court for them. That's why I said the loopholes in international law are huge. If that fellow is charged in the local court out there, he'll slip out tomorrow and be sent back to China. And that's an end of story. He'll go behind the Great Wall. I mean, we have to start living in a different world now. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Arjuna Vach, for joining me as a member. So honored. How do you do the day before retirement? How do the day before retirement, the day of retirement, and the first day of retirement feel like after spending your life in the army? Nothing. I didn't find any difference. I didn't find any difference because I had a job to do on the day before retirement, on the day of the retirement, on the day after retirement. I was in IIT. End of story. I had no time to think. Let the private security companies get free treatment at medical camps, sponsored by IMA. Look, these are all minor things, but we have to think of the larger issue. How do we deal with these Chinese fellows sitting in Pakistan? What will be the shape of China-Pakistan threat in the North Arabian Sea, which is a new story which is coming up. We have to understand that. How do you counter this? After all, you're also trying to go to the global south and spread happiness there. If you want to spread happiness there, the China chap is already sitting with his private mercenaries to muscle you, and they will twist, they'll threaten Indian companies. Then what happens? So you need to have your own. So a lot of things are happening. We have to understand, and that is why I gave this presentation today. I do hope you people have liked it, and if you liked it, press that thumbs up button. And also, I had request, uh, please subscribe to Ghana Shot. I'll be grateful to all of you. With this, thank you. Good evening, and tomorrow evening we'll talk about what's happened in PLA. That's very important. If you want to understand it, of course. And a lot of stories which I could put together. And I've taken just 1.5 years, which is, I think, the critical period. I'll tell you a story tomorrow as to what Xi Jinping has done and how PLA is reacting and what are the various, issues in this whole story. I'll put it across tomorrow. But till then, thank you, good evening, and Jai Hind to all of you.